Hello and welcome to this third and final video about Titian's Diana and Actaeon, in which we'll look at the details that Titian has added to augur the horrible fate of Actaeon, but also how he's added some humorous touches and how this work came within a hair's breadth of leaving the Spanish collection only just over 50 years after Philip II had received it. So, like many Renaissance artists, Titian had a tendency to scatter his works with little visual clues. And here, I think the most noticeable visual clue of Actaeon's fate is this stag's head on top of the column, sort of presiding over proceedings. Oh, try and say that quickly. I'm wondering though whether in an earlier composition of Diana and Actaeon, Titian wanted to emphasise the stag skull a little bit more, because you can see on the column there's the outline of a hand. So clearly in an earlier version he had played with the idea of having the nymph's arm further round the column, hence sort of leading the eye up to the skull. But clearly he changed his mind and decided against this. More difficult to see though are these animal hides just draped over the branches of the trees to the right hand side of the painting. And then even more difficult to decipher is the figure of Diana chasing a stag just between the trees, again to the right hand side. But there are great passages of humour in this work as well. My favourite has to be this little lapdog, Diana's lapdog, who is yapping furiously at Actaeon's hunting dog, sort of safe, so it thinks, from across the water. But the hunting dog is just gazing up to the heavens, doing a doggy sigh, I think. And I also wonder what is going on with this nymph who is drying Diana's feet. She has absolutely no idea that anything is happening around her, or that's so it seems to me. So I don't know, perhaps she's hard of hearing, or maybe she's so used to this dog yapping that she's just kind of taking absolutely no notice whatsoever. I think she'll start to pay attention fairly shortly, don't you? And then this bathing platform. Now, I'm not saying that the nymph with the blue drapery is heavier than the other nymphs, but it is lurching quite alarmingly to one side. I also love the fact that this lion's mouth is gushing water from beneath her left buttock. Looking at the bathing platform, there are a couple of interesting objects included, contemporary objects. So the nymph in the blue, she is holding a mirror, a contemporary mirror. But more bizarrely, right bang smack in the middle is a glass vase. And Titian really wants us to notice this vase. Compositionally, it's quite central, but also the reflections on the vase are the brightest whites that he's used in the entire painting. So that really catches the eye. But it has absolutely nothing to do with the story of Diana and Actaeon. So what is Titian up to? Well, the vase is made of Murano glass, so it comes from Titian's hometown of Venice. So I think it's an advert. It's a bit of product placement, 16th century style. And interestingly enough, a vase exactly like this one was included in the consignment along with Diana and Actaeon to Philip II of Spain. Now, speaking of consignments, this painting, along with the entire rest of the POESIE series, came within a hair's breadth of being sent to England in the early 17th century as part of an inducement on the part of the Spanish royal family to persuade Charles, who was then the Prince of Wales, he became Charles I, to marry the Spanish Infanta. Now, of course, along with the marriage negotiations came a whole raft of stipulations from the Catholic Church that very surprisingly Charles seemed to be accepting. And so the more he was accepting, these paintings were being packed up very carefully. But it turns out that he made so many concessions because he felt that it was the only way that he could actually extract himself from the situation. And so as soon as he was far enough away, he repudiated the entire agreement, and the paintings were hastily unpacked. And they remained then in the Spanish collection, or this painting remained in the Spanish collection until in the early 18th century it was given as a diplomatic gift to the French ambassador, then passed into the collection of the Duke of Orleans, who I'm sure enjoyed it very much. He was a cheeky one, the Duke of Orleans. And then eventually, after the French Revolution, it passed into the collection of the Duke of Bridgewater, or the Dukes of Bridgewater, from where, along with Diana and Callisto, it was purchased for the nation. This was in 2008 for the cool sum of £50 million, 50. So two of them together, £100 million. People quite often ask me how much an artwork is worth when I do my gallery tours, and well, that's your answer for a Titian. So that concludes our videos about Diana and Actaeon. Next time we will be looking at Diana and Callisto. Now Diana is up to her tricks again, but Callisto, she is pretty much innocent. I mean, all she did was love Diana. Literally. Bye.